We're talking about a $1.5 billion hit to 200 odd of our largest businesses, our coal mines, which have boosted the budget in recent months and years, obviously heavy industry, which we absolutely need in a security crisis or a period where we're heading for a security crisis. You point to Europe, where they're recanting all of this because they've actually got a real existential threat on their doorstep in Ukraine. How are we having this two-track global conversation in Australia? We're still stuck back at Glasgow Climate Summit, and the rest of the world is in a very different place.
You're absolutely right, Peter. I mean, I started writing about climate change only because as foreign editor I was travelling around Asia, and what was happening there just bore no relation to what the Rudd and Gillard governments were saying way back then. Now, Labor's policy, I think, would actually be very damaging to Australian industry, would impose massive costs on it, lead to much more expensive energy. But the only thing you can say in favour of it is that they never implement their policy when they're in office. I mean, every government utters these climate clichés before the election and then gets mugged by reality. And you've always got this awkward, unhappy period of adjustment after the campaign.
Except Julia Gillard.
And of course, if you impose... well, but then the story of her prime ministership was a story of its collapse because of her climate policies. And, you know, if you try to implement these crazy policies, reality just doesn't... I mean, this postmodern discourse that we're having simply doesn't square with reality, and reality is very intractable. It just doesn't take account of your ideological proclivities. It's like the German crisis with gas now. They're going to have to get out of Russian gas, which means they're going to have a big fossil fuel industry all of their own, plus they're going to import fossil fuel from the United States and probably from us. But whatever's happening, it's not being solved by wind farms and solar energy.